Hello, my dear students. This is an entirely new lecture series over the topic of statement and arguments, which forms a very important part of logical reasoning, which are often being asked in all the competitive examinations that are being held, whi- uh, which are being there in our country, whether be it CLAT examination, whether be it bank PO, whether be it SSC. You will find questions related to statements and arguments. And in this particular lecture series, we are going to deal with the same topic. Not only the topic, we are going to ensure that we are practicing questions related to statements and arguments. And accordingly, we will figure out that what is exactly important whenever we are going to solve these questions. The images used in our slide deck are for educational purposes only. We respect the intellectual property rights of the original creators and the owners of these images. If you are the owner of any of the images used in this deck and have any concerns or issues, please contact us at sathi@iitk.ac.in and we shall remove the images. So, my dear students, as you all know that we are going to start with an entirely new lecture series over the topic of statements and arguments, which perhaps encompasses a very important area of discussion whenever we are talking about logical reasoning. So, logical reasoning, if you talk and if you can understand that where exactly do we find the mention of statement and arguments are, that there are two type of reasoning whenever we are tackling logical reasoning portion. So one is a verbal reasoning and the another one is non-verbal reasoning. So you will figure out statement and arguments in the second portion of the logical reasoning areas, where we are going to discuss as to what exactly statement are and what exactly is the argument that we can infer, what we can suggest, we can think of from this particular setup. So let's quickly analyze that what we are going to understand in this particular lecture series. The first and the foremost thing that we are going to do in this lecture series of statement and argument. Statement and argument, my dear student, हम लोग इस लेक्चर सीरीज जो कि सिर्फ स्टेटमेंट और आर्ग्यूमेंट पर रहेगी, उसमें हम लोग बात करेंगे कि स्टेटमेंट और आर्ग्यूमेंट का इंट्रोडक्शन, कि हम लोग उस चीज में क्यों इन्वॉल्व हो रहे हैं, हाउ इज इट इम्पोर्टेंट, व्हाट एग्जैक्टली स्टेटमेंट एंड आर्ग्यूमेंट इन रीजनिंग, कि स्टेटमेंट और आर्ग्यूमेंट का क्या मतलब होता है, किस तरीके के क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, टाइप्स ऑफ स्टेटमेंट्स एंड आर्ग्यूमेंट्स. सो कुछ स्टेटमेंट्स ऐसे होते हैं जिनका जो आर्ग्यूमेंट जिनका आर्ग्यूमेंट उससे हम लोग डिराइव कर रहे हैं, दैट इज अ स्ट्रॉन्ग आर्ग्यूमेंट, वेदर इट इज अ वीक आर्ग्यूमेंट. सो ऑल दीज टाइप ऑफ थिंग्स दैट वी विल बी स्टडिंग इन दिस टाइप ऑफ आर्ग्यूमेंट्स. Then we will also be discussing about the tips of solving statements and arguments and argument questions. That what exactly क्या टिप्स हमारे को दिमाग में रखनी चाहिए कि किस तरीके से हमारे को उन क्वेश्चंस को फॉलो अप करना चाहिए, क्या अप्रोच करना चाहिए हमारे को इन क्वेश्चंस को, ताकि हम लोगों की जो आंसर्स हमारे को मिले, जो हमारे को आंसर्स इन क्वेश्चंस के थ्रू हमारे को डिराइव हो, परफेक्टली स्पॉट ऑन आंसर्स हो, ताकि जब हम कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जामिनेशंस में बैठे और हम लोगों ने जब इन क्वेश्चंस की ऑन रेगुलर बेसिस प्रैक्टिस कर ली हो, और व्हेन वी आर 100% श्योर that this is perhaps the correct method or the perfect method of solving this question, then we will have a better approach and chances of us succeeding in this examination will obviously increase. So with this, my dear students, we are going to start an entirely new lecture series over the topic of statements and arguments, where which we are going to discuss the theoretical concepts which are very important in order to understand that what exactly statements are, what exactly arguments are, and what exactly are the inferences that we have to draw from the statements and the arguments, how the questions will be there, that whether they will be in the same manner as of syllogism, whether they will be another thing which is in certain differences between the statement and assumptions, which is also a part of a non-verbal reasoning, but is somehow different from statement and argument. How the questions will be, we will also be trying to figure out that how to solve through exercises, through the given solutions, that what exactly could be the perfect method of getting an answer of a question which is related to statements and arguments. And then we'll start practicing in the same manner in which we have practiced in our past videos, in our past lecture series over the different topics of logical reasoning. We are going to practice, and we are going to practice not only 5-10 questions. We are going to practice, my dear students, a collection of at least 50 plus questions in this particular lecture series. So what I would want from your side is dedicated attention towards this lecture, and not only dedication, but also that what exactly has to be followed and the concept that needs to be understood has to be taken into consideration whenever we are going to discuss this lecture and whatever we are going to discuss about the statements and the arguments. So with this, my dear students, we will be focusing over the introduction portion of statements and arguments, which states as follows. So what exactly is statement and argument? In statements and argument, logical reasoning section, an argument is a statement or a series of statements in which a certain viewpoint is put up. Okay, so whatever the viewpoint is there is going to be our argument, expressing different opinion for or against something. Argument is very important part of analytical reasoning. Okay, so it is a very important part of analytical reasoning, as all possible types of questions from analytical reasoning like inferences, assumptions, course of actions, syllogism, etc. are somewhere related to argumentation. So we have discussed syllogism as one of the part of our lecture series. If you wish to, you can obviously refer to that lecture series and you can understand that what exactly syllogism is. And in the same manner, as you can understand that it forms a very important part of analytical reasoning, where we analyze. What is analytical reasoning? Analytical reasoning is nothing but it is a methodology of a method of reasoning in which we analyze a certain statements or a given presumption or a given work, and based on that particular statement or assumptions, we figure out the reason, the inferences we figure out, and we give an argumentation, or we give our approach that what exactly should be the reason for that particular statement. This is the reason why arguments are called the backbone of analytical reasoning. That whenever we are giving arguments, that what should be the reason behind this logical concept? What exactly is the reason? Okay, so in statement and argument, logical reasoning section, an argument is a statement or a series of statements in which certain point of view is put up, expressing different opinions, options, or for something new. Argumentation is very important part of analytical reasoning. So you need to understand, my dear students, that whenever we're talking about these type of logical reasoning portion, why we are developing this, why even the competitive examinations are asking for questions related to assumptions, for questions related to syllogism, for questions related to statements and arguments, because they are testing our analytical reasoning skills. And analytical reasoning skills are very important whenever you have to do some work in which analysis of the work is important. Analyzing that this is right and this is wrong is important. And in every domain, whenever you are going to, whether you are going for any work, whether you are going to study, whenever you're going for examinations, competitive examinations, where analysis has to be done, it becomes a very important point of discussion to test your analytical skills. And through these questions, through these portions of a logical reasoning, whether be it statement argument, whether be it syllogism, whether be it course of action, whether be it passages, the only thing that the examiner, the invigilator, or the committee which is conducting the examination is trying to test is your analytical skills. So that is why it is important to understand the concept, because not only this concept is going to be fruitful for you for your competitive examination, but also it is going to enhance your analytical reasoning skills. And once you have developed that, it is going to be beneficial in your daily day-to-day life also. So with this, let's try to understand that what exactly statement and argument actually means. So what is statement and arguments in reasoning? What exactly is statement and argument? In simple language, argument is a point of view on a particular matter supported by certain evidence. So argument, there will be a statement that is provided, and following it, there will be an argument. So that particularly we are talking about argument here. Then what is an argument? It is a point of view. So this argument may be correct for somebody, may not be correct for somebody, but still it is a point of view. It can be given by any person. That point of view can be a weak point of view, can be a strong point of view on a particular matter. Okay? On a particular matter. For example, I'll give you an example for a better understanding. That mobile phones are, students are utilizing mobile phones to a lot of extent. Okay. So the argument would be that mobile phones are nothing but a source of distraction. Okay. So there is one statement which is saying that students are utilizing mobile phones, and there is another statement which is saying that argument is students are the mobile phones is nothing but a source of distractions. So now if you can understand that there is a statement and there is an argument, which are actually not, they are not supporting each other. Are they supporting each other? One is saying that mobile phones are being utilized by the students, and another is saying that mobile phones is nothing but a source of distraction. But there is no such relation. So it won't be said that this particular statement of students are utilizing mobile phones, the argument of the same would be that it is a source of distraction. But if the statement would have been the students are utilizing mobile phones, okay, mobile phones assist them in completing their task. Now you're understanding. Now this particular statement, which was saying that mobile phones being utilized by the students, now the argument for the same, which is suggesting that it is assisting them in their tasks, are now making sense. They are giving logic. There is a reason. There is a reason which is supported by evidence, which is showcasing that this particular statement, there is a rise in the utilization of the mobile phones by the student. The argument of the same is that the students are utilizing the mobile phones for completion of their task. And then there will be another statement which is saying that students are utilizing their mobile phones in order to socialize. In order to socialize. Both the statements, if you can see, somehow, somewhere are being evident from the statement. The students are using mobile phones not only for completion of their task, their assignment that is being provided to them, but also to socialize also, right? So both the arguments which has been given seems to be resonating, or seems to be giving a possible logic behind the statement. But the very first statement that we gave during the initial discussion of our statement and argument, where I told you that it is nothing but a source of it is a distraction. It is a source of distraction, nothing but a source of distraction. This can be an argument, a viewpoint for somebody, but is it directly related to the statement? No, it is not directly related to the statement. So this type of argument, which is not directly related to the arguments, are weak arguments. And weak arguments are not the correct uh, approach, and that is to be excluded from the argument of the reasoning. So हम लोगों को क्या काम करना है, एक जस्ट मैं आपको बताऊं तो, कि आपको एक स्टेटमेंट दिया जाएगा. फॉर एग्जांपल एक स्टेटमेंट आपको दिया गया कि बच्चों का मोबाइल फोन का यूटिलाइजेशन, उनका प्रयोग बढ़ चुका है. उसका एक आर्ग्यूमेंट आया कि बच्चों फोन को यूज करते हैं अपने असाइनमेंट को, अपने टास्क को कंप्लीट करने के लिए. और एक सेकंड आर्ग्यूमेंट आया कि बच्चे फोन को यूटिलाइज करते हैं सोशलाइज करने के लिए. Both the arguments are somewhere correct. But if there is a third argument which says that mobile phones are causing distractions to the students, so this is nowhere related to the statement that has been provided. This is something more like a statement in itself, and it is nowhere related also. So that type of argument will be considered to be a weak argument. Okay. So we will be discussing about what exactly are the types of arguments also for your better understanding. But for as of now, you need to understand that then whenever there will be a statement following which it will be an argument, it is a point of view which should be supported with certain evidence. And we have the evidence, we can relate it from our day-to-day surroundings. We can understand that yes, this is something which we have evidentiary value, where which we can see that utilization of mobile phones by the students is not only for completion of their tasks, for their assignments, but also for socializing purpose. Both the statements considers to be true. Statement or arguments are resonating. Our answer seems to be correct. But now this is just for your explanation I am telling. Okay. Now let's move forward and try to understand what exactly it is saying more. The candidate is required to check the forcefulness of the given argument, such as if they are weak. I just gave you the example of a weak argument, or strong argument also I've given. In technical terms, an argument may be said to be a sequence of two or more phrases, clauses, sentences that include a claim or conclusion. Okay. That includes a claim and conclusion. This is very important, that argument should have claim or conclusion. Such a conclusion is arrived at with the help of one or more than one statement, which may be called a premise or a proposition. After from this, okay, so this is what it is. An argument can be in sequence, two or more phrases, clauses, sentences that include a claim or conclusion. So claim and conclusion is to be derived from that argument itself. So argument और statement का जो main inference हम लोगों को समझना है, वो यही समझना है कि एक statement दिया जाएगा आपको, उसके basis पे उसके कुछ argument, कुछ reasons दिए जाएंगे. जो reason उस argument को ज्यादा अच्छी तरीके से, जो reason उस statement को ज्यादा अच्छी तरीके से resonate कर जाएगा, that will be the correct proposition or the correct answer for the particular question. Apart from this, an argument has hidden premises also, and such hidden premises are called assumption. Different types of questions are covered in the statement and argument reasoning section, such as sequential order or arrangement, position test, time sequence test, and so on. Several types of questions based on this logical reasoning section are asked in various government competitive examinations. So I've already informed it to you that you will get a lot of questions which is related to statements and arguments in your competitive examination, which is related to logical reasoning, where which statements and arguments are being asked for. So I suppose you've understood that what exactly statements and arguments means when we are talking about logical reasoning portion, and what exactly do we need to understand from the word statement, and what exactly do we need to understand from the word argument. So basically, statement is something where which it is a fact that will be provided to you. It might be true, it might not be true, and based on the fact you will have to apply your analytical knowledge and you have to correlate it with the argument that is being provided. And you have to figure out whether the argument follows from the statement or not. In the same way, when the syllogism we were talking about statement and conclusion. Here we will be talking about statement and argument. Argument is the reason why this particular statement should be considered to be true. There should be a weak argument. There can be a weak argument. There can be a strong argument. A weak argument has to be neglected. A strong argument has to be supported. Okay. So now, before we delve deep down and try to understand that how the questions will be there, and obviously some of the students might be having this thing in their mind that, sir, why are we discussing about the theoretical portion of statements and arguments? Because we have never dealt with it. We have never studied the theoretical portion of statements and arguments. We have solved the questions, and we have solved not only 1-2 questions, we have solved hundreds of questions. But even after solving 100 questions, we are not 100% sure. We are not confident. We cannot say that, yes, sir, statement and arguments, question from wheresoever you're going to give us any competitive examination, we can solve them. Why? The reason is the concept is not clear. So here in this particular lecture series, we are assuring and we are ensuring that once the concept is clear to all the students and they're getting a clear idea that what exactly has to be understood whenever there is a question, and how to approach the question in a correct manner, they will be able to get the correct answer every time they are going to solve the question. So this is not going to be any hit and trial method. We are going to use all the known methodology in order to figure out that what will be the correct answer. And also we will be studying the concepts, because once the concept is clear, it is my high belief, if the concept is clear to anyone, no question can be an obstacle for them, because the concept, when applied to that particular question, will in itself give you the correct answer. So with this, let's try and understand that what exactly are the types of statements and arguments. So there are not various types. Perhaps you can discuss it in 2 broad concepts. Statements and arguments can be broadly classified into 2 main categories. One is the weak argument, and the second being the strong argument. So weak argument is something which is weak or absurd. Weak arguments are of various types. Obviously, there are ambiguous arguments, superfluous argument, and question back argument. In this type, so first, weak arguments, let's try to understand. In this type of statements and argument, reasoning, candidates will give arguments which are weak and absurd. Weak arguments of various types, they are mentioned below. Versus ambiguous argument. In this type of weak arguments, the question does not clarify how the argument is related to the course of action and what exactly the author wants to say. Therefore, the arguments are weak in nature. Superfluous arguments. In this type of weak arguments are superfluous and does not make an in-depth analysis of it. Therefore, these arguments are weak in nature. Question back arguments. In these type of weak argument, the argument consists of a question thrown back to the arguer. Okay. So, for example, if I'll say that the utilization of mobile phones has increased by the students, and if the response of the same is that every person in the country are utilizing mobile phones. So this is something which is not considered to be the correct approach, because there is a superfluous argument that has been given. Everybody is utilizing mobile phones, so that is not a very big deal. So that is why the students are utilizing mobile phones. Another thing, question back argument. This is superfluous, which example I have given. Now another example. Students are utilizing mobile phone. There is an increase in the utilization of mobile phones by the students. Question back. Should every student not be allowed to use mobile phones? So this is an argument which is questioning in itself, which is providing a question back to the statement that why it cannot be made possible. An ambiguous argument. An ambiguous argument, the argument which I have just given in the very starting of our lecture series, where I gave you an example that it is not doing nothing. The mobile phones are doing nothing, but it is just a source of distraction for the students, which is ambiguous, which is not somehow related to the question that has been put forward. So ambiguous arguments are considered to be weak arguments. So these three type of arguments, whenever we will find out any question which has an argument which is either ambiguous, which is either superfluous, or which is a question back argument, we will consider these type of arguments to be null and void, and we will reject those arguments, and we will not consider to be the correct answer for the question that will be provided. On the contrary, when we will be talking about the strong arguments, so when we talk about the strong argument in these type of statements and arguments, reasoning, candidates will be given arguments which are strong in nature. Strong arguments are of various types and they are mentioned below. Established facts. So if there is an established fact which can showcases that in this type of strong argument, the given argument is established on a fact and usually true. तो जो statement आपको दिया जाएगा वो एक established fact पे दिया जाएगा. For example, sun rises in the east, okay, and it dawns in the west, okay, or it is not flowing out, it is not changing, the direction of the sun is not changing. So now this is the statement. The argument of this fact is, yes, the sun direction is not changing, but rather the earth is evolving. So argument is, earth evolves the sun, earth revolves around the sun, and sun doesn't changes its position. So it is an established fact which cannot be changed. Experiences predict that the result will follow. So experiences from the past, from the experiences of the people, from the society, from the atmosphere, that if this particular statement has been given, then this perhaps will happen, will give you through a strong argument that experience predict the result that will follow. And prevailing notion of truth, meaning that in this particular type of strong statement, the arguments are certainly and universally accepted or true. Strong argument that the society is changing, the society is getting modernized. The prevailing notion of truth that yes, the society is changing because we are globalizing, we are taking globalization into mind, we are talking about modernization. So it is an established fact. So which can be an established fact, which can be predicted through the past experience and which is true. All these type of arguments are going to be considered to be strong arguments. So my dear students, we have talked about the weak arguments, we have talked about the strong arguments. Why was it necessary? It was necessary because these type of statements are going to be beneficial for the candidates in order to figure out, okay, if this particular statement is ambiguous, we have to reject it. If this particular statement is based on the established fact, or the argument is based on the established fact, we have to accept it. If it is telling us something which is true from our past experiences, we have to accept it. If it is ambiguous in nature, we don't have to accept it. So this is how we will be solving. We have to understand the concept, you have to understand the argument, and accordingly we will have to answer the questions that is in relation to the statements and arguments. Okay, my dear students, in our next lecture series, we are going to talk about these 10 tips. These 10 tips which will assist you in solving questions related to statements and arguments. We will discuss that what exactly follows from the statements and arguments that we have provided, and how is it so, and what is it so that differentiates it from the rest of the logical reasoning portion or analytical portion, because we have taken into consideration syllogism. We have talked about syllogism, we have understood syllogism, and how is it different from syllogism, and what part of areas it is going to cover in your competitive examination is also a very important point of discussion in our upcoming videos. So with this, I would like to end today's video, my dear students. We have talked about the types of statements and arguments. Not many types are there, only strong and weak arguments are there. But this arguments, the established facts, the experiences peer predicting the result will follow, and the prevailing notion of truth, and the reason why a statement can be considered as a weak argument, why an argument can be considered as a weak argument, also needs to be understood. So these concepts are going to be very much helpful for you when we'll be starting practicing questions, and we'll try to analyze and try to figure out questions which is related to statements and arguments. And that is why please ensure that you are recalling these statements and arguments, the types of statements and arguments, and the concept of statements and arguments, and what exactly is the need of these statements and arguments in the logical reasoning portion that we have already discussed. And with this, we will be now concluding our today's video. Tomorrow or in the upcoming video, we will be talking about the tips that one has to keep in mind whenever they are solving statements and arguments. After that, we will solve a bunch of examples or exercises which have the solutions already mentioned here, so that you can understand that what exactly is the way you have to follow the pattern of statements and arguments, and how you can be 100% sure that this is the correct answer of the question. And then we'll start practicing our exercises. We'll start practicing questions related to statement and arguments. And I can assure you that once this particular lecture series gets over, you will be confident, and you will be very much excited and efficient also to solve questions which is related to statements and arguments, my dear students. With this, I would again like to thank you all for being present in this lecture series and in this particular video. I wish you the very best of luck, and I hope that all the students who are watching this video are getting some insights of the important portions of statements and arguments, and they have gained some knowledgeable insights from this particular video. With this, thank you so much for being present in the video, my dear students. May you have a wonderful day. Till then, take care and bye-bye.